Welcome back. For this lesson today, we're going to do 3-3. What are surds? So in this lesson, your goal is to learn what a surd is, and then you're going to learn how to simplify some basic surds. In the next video lesson, you will simplify not so basic surds. In this lesson, your objective is to understand what a surd is and learn about perfect squares. You will know what a like term that contains a surd is and how to simplify surds using addition and subtraction. Fun fact, when was Homer Simpson born? We'll find out later in the video. So what is a surd? A surd is a synonym for an expression or equation that contains a square root radical. That is my informal definition. What is a square root radical, you ask? Well, let's just remind you, you've seen these before. It's an expression with that funny looking check marked division symbol. So we have the square root of 72, the square root of 48. Those are surds. Let's get the formal definition and symbols out of the way. A surd, the formal definition, is an irrational number of the form square root of n, where n is a positive integer that is not a perfect square. So there's a couple of things that you need to understand here. So we have n has to be positive, so n here is going to be positive, and it's not a perfect square. And it's also irrational. Now, irrational number is a number that never terminates or repeats. Just to remind you, remember pi, 3.14159, etc., etc. Okay. Now, what is a perfect square? There's two ways to define a perfect square. One way to define it, it is the product of two rational numbers multiplied by themselves. For example, 4 by 4, 4 times 4, that's a rational number. 4 is a rational number, so we multiply 4 times 4, we get 16. 16 is the product, and it is a perfect square because 4 and 4 are rational numbers. Now, the second way is to define a perfect square. You can say it is a number that if you take the square root of it, you get a whole number, no decimal. This is important for surds. So if I take the square root of 16, I get 4. So remember, 4 times 4 was 16. We determined in the previous slide that was a surd, or not a surd. That's a perfect square. Square root of 64 is equal to 8. Again, 64 is a perfect square because I get a whole number of 8. 23 is not a perfect square because the square root of 23 gives me a decimal that never ends and never repeats. Okay? These are the perfect squares that you should know. So if I take the square root of any of these numbers, I get a nice whole number, no decimal. You need to write these in your notes and you need to know them. Most of them you can do 1 through 10. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, right? Because 4 times 4 is 16, 9 times 9 is 81, 10 times 10 is 100. Okay? So when we get up to the other numbers, you get a little more difficult. You need to memorize 169, 196, 225, 256, 289, 324, 361, 400. So we got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then you should know 25 squared, 625. It comes up a lot in problems. So a surd or not a surd? That is the question. If I calculate the square root of 81, I get 9. Square root of 81 equals 9. 9 is a positive integer, and it is exact. Square root of 81 is not a surd because the answer is a rational number of 9. Remember, a surd has to be irrational. It never ends, never repeats. Perfect squares are not surds. Okay? So if you think of it as 81 as a perfect square, and perfect squares are, again, not surds. Square root of 7 would be considered a surd. If you type it into your calculator to to find out what the square root of 7 is, you'll get a never-ending, never-repeating decimal. So these are all surds over here on the left. Square root of 15, 3 plus the square root of 2, square root of 5, 8 minus square root of 5 over 3. These are all considered surds because if I take the square root of 15, I'm going to get a number that never ends and never repeats as far as a decimal. On the right here, all of these over here are not surds because I have the square root of 25, which is equal to 5. 3 plus the square root of 49 is 3 plus 7, which gives me 10. 80 minus the square root of 289, which is 17, divided by 4, and I'm going to get a whole number. Okay? Why do we care? Why are we all worried about what's a surd and what's not a surd? It actually has to do more with science, but it has to do with exact answers. And you probably saw this word in an earlier slide, an exact answer. Okay? An exact number is a value that is known with complete certainty. In other words, an exact number has zero uncertainty, and this is kind of a key word right here, infinite number of significant figures. It goes on forever. Infinite. An exact number cannot be simplified or reduced. Okay, so why do I care about an exact number? Okay? Because rounding errors add up. So as we get in the higher and higher math, we're going to have what we know as exact answers. Okay, the more calculations you do, the more rounding you do, it pushes your answer further away from the correct and most exact number. Okay? This can result in a large error over time. If you're trying to land a spaceship on Mars and you have a lot of rounding, you're going to miss your spot of landing by quite a ways. Okay? Square root of 3 is more exact than 1.73205. The actual answer, if I were to type this in the calculator, it actually would go on forever. So it goes to infinity and it's never going to repeat these numbers. It's like pi. Okay? Pi is an exact answer. Sometimes they will allow you in a problem, they will tell you can use 3.14, but remember that is rounded. Okay? So let's do some math. Adding and subtracting of surds. So you must have like terms to add and subtract a surd. So remember, 3x plus 4x is equal to 7x, right? I have 3 x's, I add together with 4 x's, I have a total of 7 x's now. But if I have 3 x's and I try to add 4 y's to it, I can't add apple and oranges to get one or the other. So I still have 3 apples and 3 oranges, or 4 oranges, sorry. Remember, like versus unlike. Like terms versus unlike terms. Now, on these problems, you're going to be asked to leave the answer in exact form. Do not give me a decimal. A decimal will be counted wrong. Okay? So when you're told to leave an answer in exact form, the answer should have a radical symbol. Okay, so you should have a radical symbol in the answer. Now, there will be times as we get more and more into math that you're going to find that you have answer being told, give it to me in terms of pi. So if you come up with an answer that's 3 pi, then that's how you would write your answer, 3 pi. Okay? So here's our first couple of problems. We're going to add or subtract the following. Now, in order to do this, the radicals have to be the same. Okay? Square root of 6 is a surd, because if I take the square root of 6, I get an irrational number. These, you can actually think of it like writing it like this. All right, it's the same thing. Square root of 6, square root of 6, they're the same. I have 3 of them. I take away 2 of them, so I have 1 square root of 6 left over. Remember, we don't usually write the 1, so your final answer should be square root of 6, final answer. Okay? So here in B, we have 5 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 3 minus square root of 3. I check my radicals. All of them are the same. All of them are surds. I can't simplify in any way. I have 5 of them. I add 2 of them, so now I have a total of 7 square root of 3. But then I'm going to take how many of them away? Remember, this is just 1. Okay, so that means I have 6 square root of 3 for my final answer. Rules of surds. Just real quick, we're going to go over some rules that we've already covered in the previous section. Square root of a over b, square root of a times b, I'm sorry, is equal to square root of a times square root of b. You can just separate them out. So when you're looking at this, let me change colors here real quick so I can write it. So if I had the square root of 3 times 7, I can break this apart to be the square root of 3 times the square root of 7. This is going to be very important later when we go to simplifying. For example, if I have the square root of, let's see, 48, okay? I can break this down into 16 times 3. 48 is the same as 16 times 3. This is a perfect square, and we're going to do this in the next lesson. Square root of 16. So I can take the square root of 16, it will come out, and I get 4 square root of 3. Now, this will be in the next lesson, but I just want to show you why we're worried about these rules here. Okay. Rule number 2. Square root of a over the square root of b, I can simplify it into the square root of a over b, just one whole fraction. Or I can go back and forth, so this can go either way. Okay. Rule number 3, the square root of a times the square root of a comes out to be just a. Let's do this using numbers. So if I have the square root of 6 times the square root of 6, notice it has to be the same number inside. Okay, a and a, so it has to be the same number. If I do this, one of the rules we're going to learn in the next section is we always multiply what's underneath the radical together. So 6 times 6, we would actually end up, or we can use the rule up here, 6 times 6, right? So that goes back up to rule number 1 if you think about it. This is rule number 1. Okay, well the 6 times 6 is 36. Well, if I take the square root of 36, I get 6. So you can look at this a couple of different ways. You can look at it mathematically with the numbers. Sometimes I just refer to it as, well, they're the same, so these cancel out and just leave me with a 6. If I do the square root of 4 times the square root of 4, I get the square root of 4 times 4, which is the square root of 16, which is 4. Okay. So let's step it up a notch. Let's get you a little more difficult problem. You're asked to simplify this problem. So take a moment, pause the video, go ahead and write it down. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do it. My first step is I'm going to distribute the 4. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times a negative square root of 5. Well, I can't, the 4 is on the outside, so it has to stay on the outside. So I end up with this. Okay, so basically I did 4 times the 1 that's right there. Now I'm also going to distribute the 2, and it's a positive 2. So it's 2 times the square root of 5. So that's plus 2 square root of 5. 2 positive 2 times positive 2 is positive 4. Now, I need to combine only like terms. Okay? So, when I look at this, 32, the like term that matches it is 4. So I have 32 plus 4, I'm going to get 36. Okay? Now, I look at my radicals. I have the square root of 5 and the square root of 5, so I can combine them. Negative 4 plus 2 gives me a negative 2, the square root of 5. Final answer. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up another problem up here. So I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try this one on your own and check your answer for when I did it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this problem. We have 3 times 2 square root of 2. Now I'm going to multiply 3 times 2, and I get 6 square root of 2. You have to multiply those numbers that are on the outside. What's inside the radical is not affected. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. Now I'm going to come over here to the negative 4. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12, and then the square root of 2. Negative 4 times negative 5 is a positive 20. So when I look here, I have 6 square root of 2, negative 12 square root of 2. I can combine these. 6 minus 12 is, this gives me negative 6 square root of 2. Negative 18 plus 20 is a positive 2. Final answer. Now let's go ahead and answer our trivia question. When was Homer Simpson born? Homer Simpson was born on May 12th, 1955. He was raised on a farm by his parents, Mona and Abraham Simpson. In the mid-1960s, while Homer was between 9 and 12 years old, Mona went into hiding following a run-in with the law. Homer attended Springfield High School and fell in love with Marge Bouvier in 1974. Just a fun fact. Okay, so after this lesson, you should know what a surd is. Remember, it is a irrational number, not a perfect square. You should memorize your perfect squares. You should understand that to add or subtract surds, you must have like terms. The same surds can combine. Know the basic rules, and be able to add or subtract complex expressions using the rules of surds, PEMDAS, and the distributive property. And that concludes this lesson. Oh, and you should know when Homer Simpson was born. Okay, that won't be tested, but it's just a fun fact.